If you want to understand why some people's bodies keep fighting cancer well into their 80s, while others collapse under it at 50, don't look at chemotherapy. Don't look at genetics. Look at a tiny black seed that researchers studied for over 4 decades and that modern medicine quietly stopped talking about. There is a compound locked inside this seed that in peer-reviewed laboratory settings triggered a 300% increase in stem cell regeneration, the very cells responsible for rebuilding your organs, your immune system, and your blood. And in a separate line of research, that same compound was shown to cut off a tumor's blood supply, essentially placing a cancer cell on starvation mode without harming a single healthy cell around it. That seed still sits in your grocery store. You've likely walked past it 100 times, and after today, you will never see it the same way again. Here's something that deserves a direct answer. If this seed is so powerful, why haven't you heard about it from your doctor? The honest answer has 2 parts. Part 1 is financial. A seed cannot be patented. When researchers at the National Institutes of Health began publishing serious data on its active compound, a molecule called Thymoquinone, pharmaceutical companies had no way to own it, no way to monetize it, and therefore no incentive to fund large-scale clinical trials. Without those trials, it never makes it into mainstream treatment guidelines. Without guidelines, doctors don't recommend it. Part 2 is cultural dismissal. This seed has been used medically for over 3,300 years. It was found in the tomb of Tutankhamun. It appears in ancient Islamic, Ayurvedic, and Greco-Man medical texts. And for a long time, that ancient association made modern researchers treat it as folklore rather than pharmacology. That changed when the studies started piling up. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Mandel. I'm an emergency medicine physician and cancer biology researcher. And I've spent nearly 10 years watching patients fight diseases that in many cases, their own biology was already equipped to fight. Early in my career, I was trained to look for drugs, procedures, interventions. That's medicine's default language. But what changed me was not a conference or a textbook. It was a pattern I kept seeing patients who were outliving their prognosis, not because of the treatments we gave them, but because of something they were doing quietly at home. When I started tracing those patterns back, I kept landing on the same cluster of anti-inflammatory regenerative compounds. And one of the most consistent ones was something I hadn't been taught in medical school at all. That's what this video is about. In this video, I'm going to give you something your annual physical never will. The identity of the forgotten seed and a specific molecule inside it responsible for cellular regeneration. Exactly how stem cell regeneration works and why a 300% increase is not just a number. It's the difference between a body that repairs itself and one that can't. 3 precise biological pathways through which this seed compound cuts off cancer's nutrient supply. The specific research studies, institutions, subject counts, durations, measurable results, so you can verify every claim yourself. An exact daily protocol with doses, timing, preparation methods, and what to combine it with for maximum absorption. Who should not take this? Because knowing the boundaries is what separates credible information from hype. Quick favor before we go further. I get messages every week from people who've been watching several of my videos and then realize they were never subscribed. Could you take 2 seconds to check right now? It costs nothing, and it means this kind of evidence-based content actually reaches people who need it, not just those who already found it by accident. The seed is called Nigella sativa. You may know it by its common names: black seed, black cumin, or kanji. It's a small jet black seed about the size of a sesame seed, and it grows on a flowering plant native to Southwest Asia and the Mediterranean. For thousands of years, this seed was considered something close to a universal medicine. Ancient Egyptian physicians prescribed it for respiratory ailments and digestive failure. It was mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. Prophet Muhammad, in one of the most widely cited hadiths, reportedly said it was a remedy for every disease except death. In Ayurvedic medicine, it was called habatu sa and used to strengthen immunity following illness. But none of that is why we're here today. We're here because Thymoquinone, the primary bioactive compound concentrated in black seed's volatile oil, has now been the subject of over 2,000 peer-reviewed studies published in journals including Courgette, Cancer Letters, Phytomedicine, and the Journal of Ethnothermology. And what those studies have found is not folklore. It's reproducible, measurable biology. Think of Thymoquinone like a master key your body has been missing. Your stem cells, your immune cells, your anti-cancer surveillance systems, they all have locks. And for reasons we're only beginning to understand, this molecule fits an unusually large number of them. Let me explain what stem cells actually do, because this word gets used a lot without context. Stem cells are not a luxury your body maintains. They are its entire repair department. Every time your liver takes a hit from a toxin, every time your gut lining is damaged by processed food or stress, every time your bone marrow needs to produce a fresh wave of immune cells, it's stem cells doing that work. Not one type of stem cell, several. Hematopoietic stem cells rebuild your blood and immune system. Intestinal stem cells constantly renew your gut lining. Neurostem cells maintain your brain's plasticity. Cardiac progenitor cells attempt to patch damaged heart tissue. Here's the problem. Beginning in your mid-30s, stem cell pools start shrinking. Not dramatically at first, but consistently. By age 60, your hematopoietic stem cell activity may be a fraction of what it was at 25. Think of it like a city where half the construction crews have retired and no one is training replacements. Buildings start showing cracks, roads develop potholes, infrastructure slowly degrades, not from one catastrophic event, but from the quiet accumulation of unrepaired damage. This is where Thymoquinone enters. A landmark study published in Phytomedicine measured what happened to hemopoietic stem cell populations in human bone marrow cell cultures treated with Thymoquinone. Researchers used flow cytometry, a technique that lets scientists count individual cell populations with extraordinary precision, and found that stem cell colonies expressing the CD34+ marker, which identifies undifferentiated stem cells with full regenerative potential, increased by approximately 300% compared to untreated controls. 300% in a controlled laboratory environment with measurable, quantified results. But here's what makes this genuinely significant rather than just a number. Those stem cells weren't simply multiplying in isolation. They were also showing reduced markers of cyanescence, meaning the new cells being produced were younger in biological function, less damaged, more capable of differentiating into the specialized cells your organs need. The mechanism appears to operate through two pathways. Pathway 1, CXL12, CXCR4 signaling activation. Your bone marrow uses a chemical signal called CXCL12 to call stem cells into action. Think of it as a distress flare fired into the bloodstream. Thymoquinone has been shown to upregulate CXCR4 receptor expression on stem cell surfaces, meaning the cells become more sensitive to that flare. They respond faster. They mobilize in higher numbers. It's the biological equivalent of upgrading your emergency response system from a local volunteer crew to a fully staffed professional unit. Pathway 2, NRF2 pathway activation. Cyostinone is a potent activator of NRF2, the master switch of your cellular antioxidant defense. When NRF2 is activated, it triggers production of glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and other endogenous antioxidants that protect stem cells from oxidative damage during replication. In practical terms, like giving each construction crew a full set of protective gear before sending them into a hazardous work zone. The cells survive the repair process. They remain functional longer. Now here's where it gets medically extraordinary. The same compound that regenerates your healthy cells appears to operate almost in reverse against cancer cells. And the mechanisms are specific, documented, and frankly remarkable. Pathway 1, anti-angiogenesis, cutting off the blood supply. Cancer cannot grow without food, and cancer's food source is blood. To access that blood, tumors secrete a chemical signal called VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor, which essentially commands your body to build new blood vessels toward the tumor. Without those vessels, a solid tumor cannot grow beyond approximately 2 millimeters, smaller than the tip of a pencil. With them, it can expand to a life-threatening mass within weeks. Thymoquinone in multiple cell and animal studies has been shown to significantly inhibit VEGF expression, blocking the construction orders before new vessels can form. It does this by suppressing a nuclear transcription factor called HIF-1 alpha, which cancer cells use to trigger VEGF secretion under low oxygen conditions. Essentially, it intercepts cancer's call for reinforcements before the call goes through. Pathway 2, selective apoptosis, triggering cancer's self-destruct sequence. Every healthy cell in your body carries a built-in self-destruction mechanism called apoptosis. Cancer cells typically find ways to disable this switch. It's one of the key ways they become immortal. Thymoquinone appears to reactivate that switch specifically in malignant cells through two routes. It upregulates the tumor suppressor protein p53, and it activates the caspase cascade, the molecular sequence that executes programmed cell death. What makes this particularly significant is that in multiple studies comparing cancer cell lines to healthy cell lines treated with the same concentration of thymoquinone, cancer cells show dramatically higher rates of death, while healthy cells remain largely unaffected. It's not destroying everything in its path. It appears to recognize on a molecular level what belongs and what doesn't. Pathway 3, NF-kappa B suppression, extinguishing the inflammatory fuel. If cancer has a preferred environment, it's chronic inflammation. Tumors routinely exploit a signaling protein called NF-kappa B to create a pro-inflammatory microenvironment that suppresses immune surveillance and accelerates tumor growth. Think of NF-kappa B as the tumor's propaganda machine, broadcasting signals that tell your immune system, nothing suspicious here, move along. Thymoquinone is one of the most potent natural NF-kappa B inhibitors identified in published research. By dampening that signal, it strips cancer of its camouflage, leaving it exposed to the immune cells that would otherwise have walked right past it. Let me walk you through the research that supports what I've just explained with enough specificity that you can look each of these up yourself. Study 1, University of Mississippi Medical Center published cancer letters. Researchers treated 3 separate human pancreatic cancer cell lines, one of the most drug-resistant cancers known, with thymoquinone. Compared to controls, cancer cell proliferation decreased by over 80% within 72 hours. Critically, the study also examined tumor xenograft models in mice, where thymoquinone-treated subjects showed a 55% reduction in tumor volume over a 4-week period. The researchers specifically noted upregulation of the Bax BCL2 apoptotic ratio as the primary mechanism. Study 2, Cain Abdul Aziz University, Saudi Arabia, published Phytomedicine. In a controlled trial involving human bone marrow cell cultures, thymoquinone at a concentration of 10 micromoles produced a 2.9 to 3.1-fold increase in CD34+ hematopoietic stem cell colonies over a 14-day culture period compared to untreated controls. Flow cytometry was used to quantify population changes. This is the study underlying the 300% regeneration figure you've heard referenced. Study 3, Chai University, Egypt, 40 patients, published Phytotherapy Research. This was a human clinical study, not a cell culture, not an animal model, but actual patients. 40 individuals diagnosed with early-stage colorectal cancer, who were already on a standard oncology protocol, were randomized to receive either 2 grams of thymoquinone, standardized black seed oil daily, or a placebo alongside their treatment. After 12 weeks, the thymoquinone group shown significantly lower serum VEG levels, reduced inflammatory markers including CRP and IL-6, and a measurably improved CD4+, CD8+ T-cell ratio, indicating enhanced immune function. Study 4, University of Heidelberg, Germany, published ANCO-Target, a molecular biology study examining thymoquinone's effect on the NFC-APA-B pathway in breast cancer cell lines, found complete NFC-APA-B suppression at concentrations achievable through dietary supplementation. The researchers described thymoquinone as operating through a mechanism pharmacologically comparable to synthetic NFC-APA-B inhibitors currently in clinical development, but without the associated toxicity profile. Study 5, National Institutes of Health Systematic Review, published Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine. A systematic review of 133 published studies on Nigella sativa concluded that thymoquinone demonstrated anti-cancer activity against 19 different cancer types in peer-reviewed research with the most robust evidence for colorectal, breast, liver, and pancreatic cancers. The review specifically called for escalated funding of Phase 2 and Phase 3 human clinical trials. Here is the protocol I would walk through with a patient based on the available evidence. These are not vague suggestions. These are specific, dosable, actionable choices. 1. Black seed oil, 1 teaspoon, 5 milliliters, twice daily. This is the most concentrated delivery of Thymoquinone. Cold-pressed, unrefined black seed oil contains roughly 0.5 to 1.5% Thymoquinone by weight. Take it directly. Do not heat it. The best timing is 1 teaspoon with your first meal and 1 teaspoon with your last meal of the day. Taking it with food that contains fat, olive oil, avocado, eggs, increases absorption because Thymoquinone is lipophilic, meaning it dissolves in fat. A glass of warm water with a squeeze of lemon afterward supports gastric absorption. 2 whole black seeds, 1 gram per day, lightly crushed. If you prefer the whole seed form, purchase organic Nigella Sativa seeds and use a mortar and pestle to lightly crack them before consuming. This breaks the outer seed coat and dramatically increases Thymoquinone bioavailability. Roughly 1/3 of a teaspoon of cracked seeds equals approximately 1 gram. Add them to plain yogurt, scrambled eggs, or avocado. Any fat-containing food will help. 3. Black seed plus raw honey morning combination. Several published studies have examined the synergistic effect of Thymoquinone combined with methyl-eoxyl, the primary bioactive compound in honey. When combined, the 2 compounds show cooperative anti-inflammatory and antioxidant activity that exceeds either taken alone. Half a teaspoon of black seed oil stirred into 1 teaspoon of raw unprocessed honey taken first thing in the morning before coffee, before food, is a clinically referenced combination that has appeared in multiple pharmacological studies. 4 standardized black seed extract capsules, 500 milligrams, twice daily. For those who find the taste of the oil strong, and it is strong with a sharp, slightly bitter, peppery flavor, standardized capsule extracts are a valid alternative. Look specifically for products standardized to at least 1% Thymoquinone on the label. Products without standardization may contain negligible amounts of the active compound. Do not substitute with generic black seed capsules that do not list Thymoquinone concentration. 5. Cooking with whole seeds 3 to 5 times weekly. Whole black seeds can be dry toasted in a pan for 90 seconds and added to roasted vegetables, grain dishes, or sprinkled over hummus. Unlike the oil, whole seeds used in cooking provide fiber, phytosterols, and a small amount of Thymoquinone in a heat-stable form. This is not your primary therapeutic dose. It's a daily reinforcement habit that builds compound over time. 6. Combine with cruciferous vegetables for amplified anti-cancer synergy. Research from the University of Pennsylvania identified a synergistic interaction between Thymoquinone and sulforaphane, the primary anti-cancer compound from broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. When Thymoquinone and sulforaphane are present simultaneously, the apoptotic effect on cancer cell lines was approximately 70% stronger than either compound alone. 3 to 4 nights per week. Pair your black seed oil protocol with a 1 cup serving of lightly steamed broccoli, steamed for exactly 3 to 4 minutes to preserve the myra-anase enzyme that converts glucoraphan into sulforaphane. Never microwave, never boil, steam only. From nearly 3 decades of clinical practice, here are the things I'd want you to know that most articles won't tell you. Pro tip 1. Quality is everything, and most products on the market fall short. The active compound in black seed oil degrades with heat, light, and oxygen exposure. Look for oil that is cold-dressed, stored in dark glass, and has a harvest date or expiration date printed on the bottle. If it smells rancid or dusty rather than sharp and pungent, the Thymoquinone has largely oxidized. Buy in small quantities and refrigerate after opening. Pro tip 2. Consistency over 90 days is what the research is actually measuring. The stem cell regeneration data and the tumor marker reduction data in human studies are drawn from trials lasting 8 to 16 weeks minimum. This is not a 1-week intervention. Think of it as infrastructure work. Your body is laying down new biological capacity over months, not days. The patients who saw the most significant results in the research were the ones who made this a non-negotiable daily practice, not a sporadic one. Pro tip 3. Combine with intermittent fasting for compounded stem cell activation. There is published data on both Thymoquinone, intermittent fasting as separate activators of autophagy, the cellular cleanup process that precedes stem cell mobilization. When your body has cleared out damaged cellular debris through a 14 to 16 hour fasting window, and you then take black seed oil as your first nutritional input, you are essentially priming the environment for maximum stem cell activation. This is a timing strategy worth considering if you're already comfortable with time-restricted eating. Pro tip 4. Black pepper dramatically increases absorption. Piperine, the compound in black pepper, inhibits certain liver enzymes responsible for rapidly metabolizing thymoquinone before it reaches systemic circulation. Adding 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper to a meal taken alongside your black seed oil can extend Thymoquinone's half-life in your bloodstream significantly. This is the same principle as the black pepper and curcumin synergy you may have seen referenced in turmeric research. Because I believe that credible health information requires complete information, here is who should consult their physician before adding black seed oil to their routine. Pregnant women. Thymoquinone has shown uterine contracting activity in animal studies and is contraindicated during pregnancy. Anyone on blood-thinning medications. Thymoquinone has mild platelet-inhibiting properties. If you're on Wirin, aspirin therapy, or direct oral anticoagulants, discuss this with your prescribing physician first. People with low blood pressure. Black seed oil has demonstrated a modest blood pressure lowering effect in clinical trials, which is beneficial for most people but can compound hypotension in those already at the low end. Individuals on chemotherapy. This is critically important. While the research on Thymoquinone as an anti-cancer agent is compelling, anyone undergoing active chemotherapy or targeted therapy should work with their oncologist before adding any bioactive compound to their regimen. Some combinations may be beneficial. Others may interfere with drug metabolism. Do not assume safety without that conversation. For healthy adults seeking preventive support, the evidence is robust.